All right, hello everyone. It is Ron Wilkerson here in the city of Houston. Today we're going to get right to it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you like the content, ring that bell. All right, so today what we're going to be looking at is some of the previous images that I shot before, and I really wanted to really touch upon something else that I think a lot of you guys may benefit from. So yeah, we'll do a little editing on this photo. So let's just get that ready in Photoshop. So let's go ahead and just white balance, maybe bring the exposure up just a touch. Everything looks good. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open this in. So one of the things that I've been working on the last week or so, maybe a little bit longer, is that I've really been trying to get my head around working with the Wacom tablet. And the version that I have now is, I'm not going to say it's the amateur version, but it's it's not the least expensive, but it's the Bluetooth version of the small. So if you've seen some of my previous videos, I've talked a little bit about upgrading to the small Intuos Pro, which I think will be, with the other features, more button controls, things like that, the spinning wheel, to give me a lot more control when it comes to like zooming in and changing brushes. Plus it comes with a much better pen. I think it's the Pro 2 or something like that, which is a lot better than the existing pen that comes with it. But over the last couple of days, I've gotten a number of questions, from individuals asking about, different tablets that could possibly be a very good alternate, for retouching. And there are a number of tablets out there that will really get the job done. It just depends on, like anything else, your budget. It depends on if you want this to be something that's going to be portable, if you're going to be moving around a lot. In my case, it is, I look for something that's going to, work for me as far as mobility, because of the fact that a lot of times I'm shooting on location. I want something that's going to work really well, that's going to, complement the MacBook or the tablet. I mean, the MacBook or my iPad or something like that. Why that's drawing. That's probably why. So let's start with Wacom. Really quick here. Like I said before, there's a number of different versions that you can purchase, but there's a few others that I think are really good tablets. Helion is a very good tablet manufacturer. I've seen a ton of reviews about these tablets, some going back as far as, 5, almost 10 years. People are talking about this tablet. If you're on a really strict budget, the Wacom One is probably going to be a good tablet for you, just starting out. It's going to give you basically the same thing that I'm working with now, versus the fact that you will not have the buttons. It's a very simple tablet. But, for just retouching, for things like frequency separation, maybe, dodging and burning, that should work out pretty well for you. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about that a lot of you may or may not be aware of is that Amazon has a renewal program. So that could be something as simple as, items coming in that, may have had some imperfection and they have them repaired and then they resell them. Or it could be something like someone purchased it and then returned it, and then maybe a few items are missing and they had to repackage it or something like that. You can get a tremendous discount. That's exactly what I did with the tablet that I ordered. And I think I mentioned in the previous video, the tablet that I ordered, I got it for, which is the medium, for $199, and which is, no, $189. But what's interesting to me is that I did research that same tablet on Best Buy, because I was thinking I'd just go over to Best Buy and pick it up. And I noticed that after looking at it a couple of times, the price went down significantly. Maybe I'm just assuming that's what happened, but the price on Best Buy is $199 and the renewed one is $189. So we'll see what it's like when I actually get it. If, everything looks like it's, um, pristine, then I won't worry about it. But, for a $10 difference, I could get one new, out of the box. But anyway, so here's some other tablets that you guys may want to take a look at. Like I said, Julian is a really nice tablet system. The XP Pens, I think, also could be a really good tablet for you. Again, it depends on the size. So some of these tablets are relatively large. Some of them are going to be around the full size of like a MacBook Pro, a 13 or 15 inch, version, because they're relatively large. I want something that fits, simply in front of the MacBook that I'm working with, and it'll fit easily in my camera bag, because I have one of the camera bags where in the back there's a back panel where I can, place my laptop, and I want to be able to just, slide the tablet in that same compartment. Now, let's see, there was another brand that I had seen that seems to be a very, very strong competitor to Wacom. And for some reason, I'm not seeing it on here. Now, so you see the majority of the tablets that you see here on Amazon is, XP Pen, Julian, Wacom. And there's a few other brands that I've never heard of before, but like I said, it just really depends on what it is that you're looking for. So let's do this. Let's see how this works on Amazon. So just by adding the word best, we'll see what Amazon says is their best tablets, which is going to mean probably their best sellers. So, we see Wacom again, we see Julian, we see can't remember the name of the other tablet, but I'll put it in the description below. But I know one of the cool things about it was it came with 2 pens and a number of other features right around the same price as the medium Wacom tablet. But it, gave you a lot of other features. And of course, I'm probably not going to find it because I'm looking for it and I can't remember what the name is. It starts with an EX or something like that. Take Wacom out of it. Put in drawing tablets, see what we find. We'll give it one more shot. So I know the price range is somewhere between here. So we're going to say, let's do 200 and above. See if we find it. Doesn't look like we're going to find it. But I will put a link to it. I'm sure I'll find it later tonight. And I'll put a link to it down in the description. You guys can take a look at it. But like I said, it seems, very interesting that it was a company. Oh, here it is, right here. So this is one version of it for $359. Now this one comes with the remote, but there is a cheaper version of it that does not come with the remote. It comes with that. Well, the only thing that's different is that it does not come with the remote. So if you wanted to get this specific drawing tablet, see. So here's the version without the remote, which is $279. Now here's another version of it for $199. Really interesting. I wonder if that's renewed. Take a look at that one. So this is going to give you 2 pens, a slim and a standard. Comes with a really cool, hard case. There's a few buttons. There's like 1 or 3 buttons here, and I think it is Bluetooth, if I'm not mistaken. So this might be one that you guys may definitely want to take a look at. And if this Wacom doesn't work out for me, this might be my next, tablet to test. The video. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this might be a serious contender. So you guys, like I said, I'll put a link for this down below, but you can see it here on the screen. You can just go over to Google and do a search for it. I mean, to Amazon and do a search for it and see what you think. But the fact that it comes with 2 pins, you don't get the control that you get from one of the Intuos or the Pro versions of the Wacom, with the multiple buttons, unless you upgrade to the one with the remote. So if you were to upgrade to, let's say, this one here with the remote, which is $359, that's going to give you about the equivalence of, I would say, like the Wacom medium, maybe even the large. But I think even this is the medium here, which is $299, and that one was $279. And for $50 or $60 more, you get the remote. Yeah, I think that might be a worthwhile investment. All right, so let's get to our edit. So here's our image. And I can see, right off the top, exactly the things that I would want to correct. On the skin, there's things on the chair, the floor, all of those things that we would normally go in and, touch up. So, for the most part, these things are relatively easy to correct. So we're just going to duplicate that layer, Command J, and then we'll go in first and we'll just touch up some of the little small things that we can see right away here, like in her neck. We're not going to worry too much about flyaway hairs. We're going to focus on skin tone and the final look for just cleaning up the image. We can always go back at another video and spend a little bit more time doing the finishing stuff, like cleaning up the chair, maybe removing all the little footprints off the floor. But, for right now, we're just going to focus on model herself. So let me grab my pen, and I know a lot of you probably seen a ton of videos where people will tell you to use the healing brush instead of the spot healing brush because of the fact that the healing brush is more like the clone stamp tool, and that's true for the most part. But in a lot of cases, if you're using a tablet, what I've discovered is that with the pressure control, as long as your pressure control is there, you're going to be really good when it comes to removing some of these imperfections. And let's see, I'm just going to go in here. Medium pressure brush. Now that's a lot there, so let's bring that down a little. But it just depends on how much pressure you're applying with your brush as to how it's going to affect the area that you're working in. And it may look like there's a lot going on there, but it's really not. Just the width that I have set right now for this pen. But I can go in here really quick, pick exactly what it is I want to take out, with almost no effort. I can see almost everything. Well, I mean, obviously I can see everything on the screen, but this definitely speeds up your workflow and the accuracy, if nothing else, because you're able to go in and really, find exactly the areas you want, clean those up relatively quick. Now, one of the things that I look forward to with the other tablet is that I have a little bit more controls on the tablet, so I don't have to keep reaching up to my MacBook, when I want to zoom or pan or something like that. And I think I mentioned before that one of the issues that I was having is that some of the features are not working for me because of the version of operating system running. And I've tried them on my older Mac. I installed the same drivers, and they work relatively, well on the Intel version of the Mac. So I don't know, maybe this is an M1 issue, or it's just an issue of the fact that, my software is beta. Because this version of Photoshop that I'm running right now, I wasn't able to run this efficiently before due to the fact that it just wouldn't load, and I know that's something related to the beta software as well. And what I would wind up doing is having to restart it over and over and over again until it would finally load. And that was just a nuisance. But now, I have all of my plugins available to me and things like that, which I didn't have before using the newer version of the M1 version of Photoshop. Now, I've talked to some friends who have Intel Macs, and they're also running the 25 point whatever it is, 0.5 I think it is, on Intel, and they don't have any problems with their plugins missing. So this is definitely something that is, I'm going to say, M1 related. And like I said, I've been running, beta software for quite a while now, or at least a couple of weeks. And I know the new version of the Mac OS will be coming out in a couple of days. So we'll see how much this affects things going forward, because, even, people running Intel Macs will still be doing an update to some degree. It'll be different, than what we're seeing on the M1 Macs, but they're still going to be doing updates. I'm going to just rough this out real quick. So I'm forcing myself to only use the pen when I can. And I mean, it can be, a challenge to some degree. But, if you use it like it's a mouse, and once you get used to, a light touch, think about it when you guys first started playing pool. You used to just slam the balls. Every time you'd shoot something, it would almost knock the balls off the table. And then as you got better and better and better, for those of you that are pool players, you know what I'm talking about. You start to develop a more precision stroke, more gentle approach to getting the balls to float, to go down the table. Well, a lot of those same things apply here when it comes to retouching. You don't really need a heavy hand. You want a soft approach going in, and especially if you're doing something like, this, where you're doing the frequency separation, you don't really need a heavy hand. You just want to go in and just kind of blend those colors in. And it shouldn't take a long time, depending on what your flow settings are. We would just really get in there and find those colors, mix them, a mixer brush. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but you guys know how this works. You've seen enough of these videos. You just want to blend like tones together. But I'll tell you something that will really, really, really improve your retouching is to start practicing sketching. And I know, most of us have no interest in being artists. I know I will never be an artist. But what I started doing is following a number of different artists on YouTube and watching their videos and doing kind of a follow along sometimes. And I start to learn, different approaches that they use when it comes to painting. And when you start to pick those skills up, it'll help us as photographers and retouchers as well. We don't need to know, take it to the level that, the average person who's painting a masterpiece, something like that. but you're learning, different brushes that do different things. It's like I've learned recently, there's things that you can do with the mixer brush I never ever knew that the mixer brush would be used for. Like mixing, certain colors and, bringing all those colors together, more so than what we use it for. It's just blending colors is all we're doing, which is a lot like the smudge tool, when you really think about it. But, that's a tip for the day. If you have some time, find, an artist that you like or an animator that you like and just follow them. And if you have, access to similar software that they're using, like for instance, if you already have Photoshop and you're using Photoshop, look for an artist that's using Photoshop and, pick up some of those techniques because like I said, you will be amazed how far it will take you in your retouching by just learning those things. I spend, most of my days when I'm not working on something specific, trying to learn something new. I always think about it from the perspective of anything that I learn, at any point is going to improve my workflow. I want to know it. And if it's going to speed up my workflow and increase the possibility that I can finish my clients' projects a lot faster and I can be more efficient at it, I'm all for that. And if nothing else, just, for the creative side of it, to learn something new. That should always be our goal, whether it's lighting, retouching, different, creative ways to use a lens. You have a 35 millimeter, 1.4 or 85 or something like that. Start thinking about prisms and lighting and different ways you can use that lens and get, really cool effects. There's a photographer that I've been following on Twitch, and I know they do a lot of contests. Like one of their contests they have coming up is that, you have to shoot something, but everything that you submit has to be from in camera, meaning you can't do any retouching whatsoever. They want you to submit it as a JPEG. They don't want any, they don't even want you to resize the image, so you want to, zoom with your feet or zoom with your lens or whatever it is. So whatever you capture is all based on exactly what you can get from your camera itself. So that's gonna, that can be a challenge, but I think it's a really cool exercise because it teaches us what we used to do as old film photographers. We had to know our settings. We had to know, what this shutter speed was going to give us or the f-stop or whatever it was going to give us without being able to just, chimp and just go, I'll just take a look at it and I'll see, or I'll fix it in Photoshop. We didn't have those abilities back in the day. So whatever we captured was what you had. I mean, you might be lucky and you have a good lab that knows a few little tricks when something goes wrong. But, for the most part, whatever you capture was, that's it, man. So I think in a lot of ways we're spoiled as photographers because we do have digital cameras and we have that ability that we can go in and just, retouch everything in Photoshop, and we got a ton of plugins and filters and, things that we can just throw on the images. Now, don't get me wrong. In today's society, that's exactly what your clients want. They don't care about how much time you spend editing something. They just want the end result. So yeah, you want to do whatever you can, to speed up your workflow. There's no doubt about that. But for the most part, you also still want to keep learning because that's one of the most powerful tools that we have as photographers or creatives is that we keep learning something new as often as possible. And like I said, it could be something as simple as how you create an action, which action you decide you want to use for a specific image. So it could be, like most of these frequency separation actions uses Gaussian blur, but a lot of people are using medium, they're using just any number of different approaches. So even if you don't use them, you just want to experiment with them to some degree so you can say, okay, I've given it a shot. I don't like that particular way of doing it, but at least I know how to do it. That's the key. So learning, educating yourself, continually educating yourself is probably one of the greatest things you could do to benefit yourself going forward. I'm just resizing this to bring it. And I mean, yeah, I could go in, and like fix a few things here. Like the shape of her body is a little off because of the position. So we'll just fix that real quick. First, take a look at where we're at on this frequency separation. But I cleaned the skin up a little bit. We did our retouch, so we're good there. So I'm just gonna create a stamp layer. Then I'm gonna take it into liquify. I'm gonna nudge her waist just a little bit. Give it a little curvature right here. I'm gonna go up to our push tool. It's almost about the right size. I want to push it in a little bit. Overdo it. I'm gonna bring her neck in just. Here on her leg. We're good. We look at the before, after. We didn't really do much, just nudged it just a little bit there. So, that's a win. I mean, you don't have to spend hours editing these photos. You just want to edit it just enough that you've cleaned up the skin, given the client a really good image of themselves, and as long as they're happy, it's a win. Now, don't get me wrong, you guys hear me say it all the time. You will have those clients that really want, the full kitchen thrown at something. You want, a ridiculous amount of skin softening and eye whitening and teeth whitening and liquefying and, all that kind of cool stuff. So if that's what they want, then you're going to give them what they ask for within reason, because it's a client. But if it's for your portfolio or your personal taste, working with the model, working with the client, remember, you can always edit that photo a second, third, fourth, fifth time. I mean, these are images that I shot years ago, and I'm going back and revisiting them, for just looking at different things that I could do here. Like, I'm thinking now, just looking at this, I'd want to add some hair, bring the hair up a little bit here above her head. Not too much that it looks like, 90s hair or something like that. But I would go in and I would clean the hair up a little bit, as I look at this image. And I'll probably, play with it over the next couple of days. When I have time, I'll keep, going back to it. But, also with the body, this is also a perfect example of when you can use your global dodge and burn. You can just go in and just, really emphasize some of the features, the muscularity of the grab. I'm going to give us a helper layer and get a regular brush. I want to bring the flow down to 11%, something like that. Then press that. If I start off here with dodging, I can see all the areas where I could use a little bit of light. I'm gonna dodge along those areas where I know light. Shoulder, collarbone, on the neck, cheek. And I mean, you can always, like I said, you can roll back the opacity if it seems like it's too much. Then from the burn, I want to add a little bit of emphasis on her abs. Just really gentle strokes here. Turn off that helper light. Shadowing. A little bit on off. See how it makes the muscles pop? We didn't do much. So like I said, guys, spend a little time, try to learn something new every day, and it will benefit you. Trust me, it will. Just create our final step. Then another thing you could do here, if you just want to be lazy like I am sometimes, you duplicate that stamp layer, then go down to soft light and bring the opacity down to about 20%, 15%. I'm gonna make it pop just a little bit more. And you're done. You know, the only other thing you need to concern yourself with at that point, go in and take a close look and make sure you don't have areas where from your retouching that you took a lot of the texture out of the skin. Now, of course, here with her face, because she wasn't wearing any makeup, I would go in and soften the skin here in areas, and I would also go in and dodge and burn, maybe a little micro dodging and burning, clean up some of these areas just to smooth them out. But then once that's done, the final thing I would probably do to run a sharpening action, just to bring some sharpening back, in certain areas, like in fabric, the chair, and just kind of brush it in where you want it to be and leave the rest as it is. Now that's always really good, as a final touch, especially for your portraits where it's more going to be more face centric, where you want the eyes to be sharp, the lips, and things like that. All right, my guys and ladies, I'm going to bring this live to an end. I'm going to go make me some dinner. I don't know what I'm going to have yet. I'm thinking maybe quesadillas. I don't know. I had Mexican last night, so I don't think I want that again. I think maybe something with pasta. Yeah, I'll probably do something with pasta. Cool. All right, my lovelies, I'm going to bring this live to an end. I always end it with, remember to, stay safe, take care of yourselves, wash your hands, wear a mask, and get out there and create something amazing. I will catch you guys on Saturday. Yes, Saturday at 7 p.m. I will be live again. All right, so if you're not already following me on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, follow me on TikTok. I'm trying to get my numbers up. Okay, follow me on TikTok. All the links are in the bio. Maybe we'll get on there and do some lives. I am looking for somebody who might want to do a round table with me. So if you're photographers and you want to just sit around and do a little podcast thing, I got a Rodecaster Pro. You guys can call in and we can, just shoot the stuff and talk about photography and lighting and gear and marketing or whatever you want to. And if this works out, it might be something we might want to do once a month, so we'll see how it plays out. But until then, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. If you haven't already, get vaccinated. I will catch you guys on Saturday. Schedule will be at the end of the video. Peace. I'm out.